Good evening. I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the June, 13th, 2019 edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details, as we conclude our ongoing series on the 12 tribes of Israel. The DISC, Myers-Briggs, True Colors assessment in the Bible, showing us that God has a place in his family for every personality, every skill set, but also with our strengths come temptations and weaknesses that we need to be aware of so that we can be forewarned, therefore forearmed, and not fall to temptation. The last of the 12 tribes is the tribe of Benjamin. And you may remember the story of Benjamin. Benjamin was the second son born to Jacob from his beloved wife, Rachel. She actually died giving birth to this son right outside of what would later become known as Bethlehem. And to this day, there is a tomb, a pillar actually, that was raised and is thought to be over her grave. Now, when she was dying, she named this child son of my sorrow. But the Bible says in Genesis that Jacob quickly changed that and called him son of my right hand. Right hand, of course, being a sign of prominence and where you put someone who is of high esteem and a protector. Now, when immature in the Lord, Benjamins are frankly like a lot of the babies of families. They can be very self-centered. They can be very selfish. It's all about me. They can be very, very prideful. Now, in fact, they could be frankly spoiled brats. However, they are diamonds in the rough, and when they are mature in the Lord, they are what has been called the devil's fear, meaning that they are very strategic, they're very smart, they can see into the darkness that exists in the world. They can see that, as Paul would write, we wrestle not with people, but with princes and principalities, that there are major forces moving in the world. They can see that. And so they approach life like that. And so, yes, they can be a great source of good when they are mature. However, because they are so good at many things, pride is their downfall. They have to stay humble. Now, can a Benjamite be humble? Absolutely. But it is something they're going to struggle with. Famous Benjamites of the Bible include King Saul, who never could get over this weakness of a Benjamite, but also people who could. Queen Esther was a Benjamite. And although she was, scared at first, what did she do? She risked her life for a higher cause, putting aside her pride of being queen to say, even if I lose my queenship, even if I lose my very life, I have to do what is right before the Lord. Jonathan, the great Prince Jonathan, who it seems, very easily gave way his place as the heir apparent to the kingship of Israel because he saw in David the Lord's anointed. And then probably the most famous Benjamite of all, Paul. Yeah, you don't get much more prideful and arrogant than our man Paul. But he was able to, God dealt with him, as we know. He admits that he was given things by the Lord, obstacles and problems that kept him humble. He talks about it, but we know from his writings that it was always a weakness and something he had to watch. So, Benjamites, great. They can see. They're very strategic. They see what's going on around them. but always have to watch out for pride. I hope you've enjoyed this series. You know, it never ceases to amaze me that long before we modern people developed things, it always seems like God has beaten us to the punch. And as you know, as a leadership speaker and author and coach, I know a lot about and I administer all of these personality and behavioral assessments. I talk about how they can be, the different personalities and strengths can be used on teams, how we need all of these different types in the workplace. And by golly, if God hasn't provided kind of an assessment and telling that lesson millennia before anybody in the modern age came up with those. I'm J. Lenore Bressler. Visit me on the next edition of The Bible, Delight in the Details. Have a great night.